Yo, what is up, you guys? Apex Boom. Welcome back to part 2 of the Beginner's Guide of Sneaker Buying. In today's video, we will be covering cook groups and copy multiples on the same site. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Cook groups. Cook groups are meant to maximize your profits. They supply a vast amount of information to you in regards to sneaker releases, early links, even potential exclusive shock drops that may end up happening, but that's only a small portion on the larger scale of which cook groups operate on. You get sneaker bot group buys, proxy discounts, proxy group buys, and for even some groups you get exclusive bot partnerships. For example, take Soleus. They have exclusive bot partnerships with Dashi, Prism, and Whatbot. This gives you an exclusive opportunity to potentially secure a bot that you will need to maximize your profits. Keep in mind, these bots are highly sought out and are hard to get, so these group buys and partnerships are amazing. And let me not also forget the exclusive membership only Soleus iOS app. It serves as a release guide for exclusive hype shoes coming out very soon. It has a built-in product monitor which you can quit tasks and check out from, a raffle section that displays all of the latest raffles that were released, which you will be able to enter from, displaying each release site by site that you can actually enter from depending on the country you are in. And last but not least, the auto checkout feature, which allows you to check out on Supreme, Kith, Yeezy Supply, Adidas, or any given website that is supported, of course. But keep in mind, every cook group has something different to offer. For example, take the Essentials. They supply a vast amount of information, including extremely detailed setup guides, even down to where proxies work the best with each bot, you guys. Keep in mind, for each bot, the plethora of information the group actually contains can honestly be a little overwhelming in a good way. They also offer exclusive group buys, extremely detailed setup guides, like I said before, and also sneaker information, and that's only tipping the iceberg. Now, of course, all of these services aren't free. Cook groups can range from $15 all the way to $60 a month. Now, it all depends on what you want and what you need specifically for you, because every group is different, like I said before. But keep in mind, if you use your cook group the way it's supposed to be used, you're going to make plenty of money back. That should be no problem at all. You should make triple, quadruple, quintuple the money that you put into it, which will be either $15, $30, $40, $60, and that shouldn't even be an issue. If you're wondering how most cook groups restock, it is actually through Twitter. So I would strongly suggest you follow and turn on the notifications for whatever cook group you're interested in. If you're interested in Soleus, The Essentials, or Sneaker Apprentice, I will have links in the description down below, and more information will be given to you upon DMing me if you are interested. Copy multiples of the same item on the same site. Now, this can be tricky terrain depending on the website you're going for. For example, take Kith. Kith is almost a dead zone when it comes to having multiple items shipped to the same address. You pretty much need a completely different address if you want to copy multiples on a site like Kith. They do not play around with that. On the other hand, you have other Shopify sites that may be a little bit more lenient when it comes to that matter. It all just depends on the vast magnitude and the hype around the release. The same goes for other site types as well. Take Supreme and Foot sites into account. But let's actually dive into how you can increase your chances to copy multiples of the same item on one particular site. Now, to go more in depth, first we're going to start off with the type of emails. We have catch-all, random emails, and real emails. In my opinion, and this is coming from my opinion, I would strongly suggest going with catch-all emails. First, if you want, use your real emails first with your profiles. Then once you run out of your real emails, go with a catch-all if you do not have one already. Now, when it comes to using random emails, there's always a risk associated with them, because of course you want to make them literally as randomized as possible. So literally close to no one has that email, but you just never know the outcome. Just hypothetically, if someone does end up having that email, as irrational and as crazy as the name may sound, you put a million numbers, different crazy numbers, letters and stuff like that, there's still a chance someone could have that email and they'll have access to your order and when it ships and things of that nature. So please keep that in mind when using random emails. It is very risky. Now let's move on to a few different examples of what you can actually do when trying to modify your address. So let's say we have the original address, right? The name would be Jamesboro. The address is 64 Applewood Road, zip code 55555, and the city located in red. The phone number is 501-555-5555. Now, like I said before, there are multiple ways to go about modifying your address. This is no different. So to get started with example 1. So for the name, we have Jamesboro. The address, we have 64 Applewood Road, zip code 555-555, city, red, phone number 501-505-5050. Now, can you guys actually guess what was changed? Well, first off, we changed the name. As you guys can see, we have Jamesboro here. It is spelled very, very differently. Just will help because a lot of the times when you're going for multiples, you will need a different name, first and last name at times. For the most part, you still want them to sound as similar as possible, just in case, like I said before earlier, if you have problems with, if you have a lot of packages, them getting sent to a post facility and you have to show ID to actually retrieve your packages. So remember, it is always best to keep in mind that you want to use, if it's not your real name, try to have it spelt in different ways that it still sounds similar to your actual name. Now, when it comes down to the address, all we did was very, very simple. We changed road from ROAD to RD. That's it. Now, zip code, you leave the zip code alone. Do not mess with that. Do not mess with the city. Now, for your phone number, make sure your phone number is completely different from the original address. Keep that in mind. And this is just modifying address number 1, example number 1. We're going to go through a few more examples to show you all the ways you can actually modify your address. This is one of the more simpler ways of doing it. Now we have example number 2, modify address number 2. Here we have J-Borough. Address 64 Applewood Road, XYZ, apartment 1A, zip code 55555, city, red, phone number 501-550-5500. Now, as you guys can see, this time instead of using Jamesboro, we use J-Borough, which is completely fine because, as you guys may or may not know, it is different. Now, a lot of the times you can leave your last name the same. It all depends on the type of site you're going for and the site type at that. Like I said, there are multiple different ways to do this, but this time around we went with J-Borough just to make it still sound as similar as possible. Now, going on to the address, you can see this time for 64 Applewood Road, we use XYZ at the end. A lot of the times you can put 3 random numbers behind or in front of your address, whichever you're comfortable with. Either way is completely fine. Now, here's one of the most important things. Now, keep this in mind, you guys. We have apartment 1A. You cannot do this if you currently live in an apartment. If you live in an apartment currently, you cannot do this. Your package will be sent elsewhere, not at your current location. If you're in an apartment, you can only do this if you stay in a house. If you stay in a house, you are able to actually use this method. Now, we have apartment 1A. It is just simply put there. It's not going to be sent to an actual apartment. It will still arrive at your house because you have your zip code and your city still inputted. So there's nothing to worry about. Everything will still be sent to you. Now, like I said before, zip code 55555, leave that alone. Your city, leave that alone. Of course, you want to change up your number and always keep the area code the same. That way there are no hiccups or anything. You want your number to be different, but you still want the area code to be accurate at the same time. So we have 501, like I said before, 501-550-5500. Now, last and certainly not least, we have the very last modified address example. Example number 3. Here we have the name, Jamesboro, address YHW 64KS Applewood Road, apartment 6A, zip code 55555, city, red, phone number 501-055-0055. Now, in this case right here, we have Jamesboro, but this time we spelt it different again. As you guys remember, in the original example, it was spelled normally Jamesboro, but in this one we have Jaimes and Borough with 2 W's instead. Now, this is, like I said before, if you're not comfortable with doing this, if you want to use completely different names, totally fine. This mainly applies to if you a lot of the times order bulk or a crap ton of packages and there is a chance, the slightest chance that they may end up getting sent to a postal facility. You may have some trouble trying to retrieve them. You may still be able to retrieve them with random names, but it's going to be a little bit more of a sticky situation. Possibly. I'm not saying it will be. I'm just saying possibly. All right, next we have the address. As you guys can see, for the address, we went a little bit more in depth this time. As you guys can see, we have YHW 64KS Applewood Road. Now, this time we applied what we did from example number 2, and we applied the 3 random numbers, and we applied the 3 random letters to the front of the address this time. But that's not the only thing we did. We also placed 2 random letters behind the house number, 64KS. We placed it behind the house number. Now, the reason to do this is to sort of kind of, if you're going for multiples, a lot of the times it will, I won't say it helps, but like I said, it just helps to have different ways and different methods. Like I said before at the beginning of this, you guys, there are tons of ways to go about modifying your address. This way is no different. So this time around we use 64KS Applewood Road, and instead of doing RD for road, we just spelled it out all the way just because, no real reason. Now for apartment we have 6A. Like I said, you cannot do this if you do not stay in the house. This is only for users who stay in the house. If you are in an apartment, I'm sorry, you cannot use this just using your, go put all the information into the correct apartment you are located at. Please, 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 I beg you guys. Keep in mind, you cannot do this if you are in a apartment when it comes to modifying your apartment. Like I said, 6A, only do that if you're in the house. If you're in an apartment, put your correct apartment information in, your correct apartment number. Now, of course, zip code the same, city the same. Of course, obviously, you want to make your phone number different. But yeah, you guys, that pretty much wraps up how you can modify your address. If you guys need more examples, you can always either DM me, comment below, or I'll make I'm gonna say a part 2, but in the next in part 3 of the series, I'll go a little bit more in depth of what you can do and even more examples that you can follow up upon. But yeah, you guys, that wraps up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was detailed enough as always. If not, always leave me a comment of what I can elaborate on or what you need further explanation on. Like I said before, if you're interested in any of the cook groups, contact me either way through Discord or through Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you like the video, like it, subscribe, comment down below. Deuces, stay safe, you guys.